Gary Neville. Let's talk about this title and let's talk about Manchester City, because they've brought in Savinho, and that's pretty much it, because it's hard to improve on perfection. Are we expecting, do you think, just simply more of the same from them?
Well, they must be expecting that. I think it wouldn't surprise me if they did dip into the transfer market in the next couple of weeks, because it's unfair to say they've been deteriorating over the last 2 years. But that treble squad, I think, was amazing. They've lost players since then. They've lost players again this summer, and you do feel like Arsenal are getting closer. And is this the time whereby it just tip over the edge, where they've lost too many? And I would think they're going to do some business in the next couple of weeks. But winning 4 titles in a row is absolutely incredible. I thought the treble might just see them off for last season, and Arsenal would do it, but they still went and did it. They're unstoppable.
Yeah, it's interesting to talk about, like, going into the transfer market. He does that really clever. Like, I think Akanji a couple of years ago, we're like, where's this guy come from? And all of a sudden he's been a mainstay for them. So I think the genius is what you're saying, and Dicko said. The genius is not just winning, but continuing to challenge every season and getting his players to believe. Like, it's almost, dare I say, easy to win the title, but to do it over and over again, to keep these players competitive and desired and hungry, I mean, it's absolutely amazing what he's doing.
To that point, though, Tim, and this place we're at today, there's talk about these 50 pros at this club, and they brought so many in. And me and Muncie did a podcast the other day, and we were saying, like, I don't really know what Chelsea are. They could be third or they could be 10th. I mean, what's your sense of this club, Gary, and what's happening here?
I've been asking the question for 2 years about the strategy of the ownership, and they're trying things, but I'm still asking the question of what they know that the rest of football doesn't, around things like the amount of players, the level of money, the length of contracts, which I know sometimes happens in different countries in the world in sports, but you don't need to sign players on 8 and 9 year contracts. It's not healthy for the player, it's not healthy for the club. You can control the player on a 5 and 6 year contract, no problem. And there's no one really thinks that there are any contenders outside of Manchester City and Arsenal. It'd be a massive surprise and shock if Chelsea were to push those two this season.
Including Liverpool after yesterday?
I'm not sure Liverpool will. I mean, I think Klopp, I felt, was outperforming last season. He was getting the maximum out of them. I think just looking at Chelsea, though, going back to them, they spent £1.2 billion. They spent, I think, 3 to 4 billion on the club. They are going to have to start delivering soon. The pressure is going to come on the people who are operating the club, because the funding's coming from elsewhere.
Yeah, I think... are we going to continue on Chelsea? Like,
well, if you'd like to.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to go back to Man City, really, and what do you think the impact of Julian Alvarez that's left? There's 11 Premier League goals from last year. You know, are we assuming that Phil Foden can score another 19 Premier League goals, and we assuming that Erling Haaland can stay fit to get his 27-30? Is there any way that you see that City attack doesn't quite do what they normally do to win the title?
I think you're right to ask that question, because to lose Alvarez is one thing, but to lose Gundogan and Mahrez the year before, you've lost a lot of goals there in the last 2 seasons. But what I would say about Pep Guardiola is they buy well, but they sell well. They sell for huge profit, they sell for big prices, and that price for Alvarez is absolutely massive, and I can see why they've sold him. What I would expect, though, in this next couple of weeks is them to do some business and have 1 or 2 up the sleeve. If they didn't do, I would be surprised. And I do think it would leave them vulnerable this season to Arsenal.
I think as with City, though, Gary, they're not reliant on any one individual. No. Kevin De Bruyne missed half the season, Haaland misses half the season. Somehow, I heard some interviews about Pep Guardiola, and he talks about the collective. All this team's about the collective. There's no one-star individual. Probably Rodri apart, I would say. Everybody else is kind of replaceable.
He's got to a point now where it's almost like clockwork, and it's like a machine. And I used to say at United, it was like a conveyor belt. Some young players would come in at the start, and then some older players would fall off the edge. And there was never really an upheaval every summer. It was just very, very methodical how it happened. 2 would come in this end, 2 would leave that end, and that's where Pep Guardiola's at. He has got a squad that it's not aging. That would be unfair. But De Bruyne, Walker, Stones, they're starting to get a little bit on the sort of high side. So they are going to need to look at the squad in the next 12 months, and maybe even this transfer window.
The thing about Alvarez, for me, I know he scored 11 goals. When I look at the City team, they'll find 11 goals from somewhere. Someone else will have a good season and chip in with 3 more. Like they
Guardiola last year.
Yeah, they can make that up, right? So,
Gary, before you go, can I ask you about Manchester United? I don't know about you, but we had Eric Ten Hag come and talk to us post game. It was like a different person, and we saw him laughing and joking with Roy Keane on your deck. So it was a victory.
It's because he's still in a job. He's still relieved from the end of last season.
What did you think about the performance?
I thought it was okay. It was solid. I thought Fulham started the game better, but the most important thing on Friday for United, they had to win that game. They could not go through that game and not pick up the 3 points. And the new lad coming on at the end and scoring Xerxes was was a welcome move, I think, for the club, for Erik ten Hag. They'll be better this season, United. They have to be, but there's still a lot of improvement to make, and everyone's still asking the question of the balance of the team. What is the balance of the team? Because you have to change the shape again after an hour.
Okay, brilliant. Gary, we're so looking forward to you coming over and joining us.
I'm looking forward to be there.
Make sure you get your alarm clock on. Early starts in America. Gary Neville, our special contributor.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.